Welcome to the Honest Health Podcast with your host, Jeffrey Burke. Honest Health brings you the brightest minds in the natural products industry, as well as athletes and entertainers. Jeff will keep you entertained and informed while educating on how to be successful on your healthy journeys. Now, here's your host, Jeffrey Burke.
Hi there, my name is Jeffrey Burke, and welcome back to the Honest Health Podcast with Jeffrey Burke. I'm so glad you're here. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to the podcast. If you're back again, welcome back. And for all of you that have been listeners of mine on my radio show for decades, thank you so much for sliding over to this platform, which I think is going to be a great place to get awesome information. We're going to be doing a lot of up-to-date information with the best minds in the industry. I'm also going to have some really incredible guests in here from other topics and, other fields as well, but they're all going to be educational, informative, entertaining. I think you're going to find it to be wonderful. Over the years, I loved doing shows when I would read a letter from a listener. Or someone that, had seen me around the country and been to one of my lectures or whatever. And I was able to kind of turn that letter into a show. So I'm going to do that today. I hope you enjoy it. I'll read you the letter. It says, "Dear Jeffrey, I heard you do a consumer lecture late last fall out on the East Coast. And although I wanted to stay after and ask you some questions, the line was kind of long to talk with you, and I finally had to go because I had an early morning work appointment. It's taken me a while to get a hold of you, but this email will find you probably 3-4 months later after your lecture. I've been having a lot of trouble sleeping for a long time now. And really, honestly, I have not really tried a lot of things to help me in this situation other than hot showers, maybe some herbal teas and baths, but really not much more. I'm exhausted all the time. I'm now finding it hard to concentrate, so I know it's finally starting to affect my health. I went to see my doctor, and he told me that I needed to sleep. It was important, wrote me a prescription for a Ambien, and I have the prescription. I just don't want to use it. I really want to go more naturally. I thought I would reach out, ask you some questions about maybe some tips that might get me a better night's rest. Are there some suggestions you can give me? Well, first of all, I want to, just start this by saying that prescription medication for sleep is important that we have it. It doesn't mean that everybody needs it, but there are people out there that have tried, many other things along the way and may not have been successful on their healthy journey and getting a good night's rest. And they may need something a little bit stronger, and that's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with that because sleep is that important. And we are so starved from a great night's rest that many of us really do need to be able to, start, finding a better way to decompress and get a better night's rest. Now, we have to remember that many of us have trouble sleeping today because we're exhausted, or we're burning the candle at both ends, or we're just not able to get the sleep that we need because we don't know how. We don't know exactly what to do. We don't know exactly where we should start. It's just a very frustrating situation. But the thing is, we need sleep. We need to be able to get a good night's rest. And if we're not getting a good night's rest, we're going to start to show it in our health and well-being. Our cognitive function the next day and during the week, the way we think, the way we calculate, the things we are supposed to be remembering, finishing our tasks, all these things, they're so important. And if you're not taking the time to charge the battery, it's going to affect you. And it's going to affect you in a very negative way. The only thing I can say is that if you are not taking the time to focus on your sleep and the actual task of getting a good night's rest, you're missing a big portion of your quality of life. Because what we have to find is that many people are now at the point in their life where they don't know where to start. I'll have people that'll send me a note and they'll say, Jeff, I'm exhausted all the time. Should I just go in and get a prescription? Well, no. We talk about a train on the tracks, and there's a lot of cars. There's an engine, then a lot of cars, and then there's a caboose. The caboose is the pharmaceutical drugs. The caboose is where you may end up, and there's a possibility you may end up there. It just depends on you. But what I want people to remember is that it doesn't mean you need to start there. There's a lot of cars on those tracks with a lot of different alternatives and choices and things you can try individually or even separately and find a combination that works and wins for you. Everything from herbal teas to a nice hot shower. at bedtime, or a long bath before bed where you have oil in there like a lavender oil, maybe a scented candle, maybe a half a glass of wine, maybe some nice music to just kind of decompress from the day. We've got a lot on our plates today. Although stress has been around since the dawn of time, whether you were running away from, dinosaurs and you had to go a week in between meals until you had to kill to find food to feast on, or whether we're just dealing with our stress of the day to day. We have stress. Stress is not fake. Stress is not something that's made up. Stress is something that is actually very real. That's reality. There's going to be stress. There's always going to be stress. It's not going to magically go away. The only thing that we can do is learn how to find ways to deal with that stress. Get more organized, make our time where we're working smarter rather than harder, set boundaries that a lot of us are not very good at. I myself am not good at boundaries, and I'll be the first to admit it. But we also have to know that we have to start by preparing the room where we do our sleeping, the bedroom. Now, I will always say that the bedroom is good for two things: intimacy and sleeping. And all of our electronic devices and all that kind of stuff, and our laptops should be out of that room. If you need to be on them, then go to the room that you need to use them in, and then go back and go to bed, because it just disrupts your sleep. It'll wake you up. Your melatonin subsides. You get wide awake again, and it just disrupts your sleep. Those blue screens, we have them so close to our face in bed. It's just not healthy. Finish your work and then go to bed and let your body do what it needs, which is decompress and sleep. So let's prepare our room. How old is your mattress? They say that a mattress should be prepared in a very, very healthy state, which means we need to make sure that our bed is ready for us. Clean sheets, maybe a mattress topper, changing our sheets frequently. Make sure that the mattress itself is not that old. Every 5 to 7 years, they say we should replace it because of dead skin cells and moisture. And if it's a spring mattress, by then there are soft, hard points that are hot points that press the springs up, and we actually lay in some of the same positions. So you could be causing discomfort to your body by laying in a position where those springs have, worked their way to the surface of the mattress that are now pressing on areas like your back or your hips or your legs, causing discomfort, and we don't even know what's doing it. It could be our mattress. So invest in a good mattress. It's really important to do that. I actually just bought a new mattress. I bought one of those ones that comes in this long box, and it's really heavy. So I got it upstairs and got it in the bedroom, and I kept my box spring, and I opened it up, and it just laid there like in this piece of plastic, this flat pancake. And you open it up and you just hear it starting to inflate. So I got the plastic off, and an hour later I had this beautifully firm mattress. I got a hybrid, so it's got some memory foam and also a supportive part to it as well. It's unbelievable. It's the best money I ever spent. It is incredible. And I did not realize how in disarray my other mattress was and how it wasn't doing a supportive job for me until I got rid of it and got something that instantly made a difference the first night. So if you can look at some of those, that's a great solution. Or go to a mattress store and see what they have, but invest in it. It's something we should be investing in. It's something we don't think about investing in, although we're in that bed a big portion of our life, and we should have it as comfortable as possible. The other thing is, we talked about the sheets. The other thing is preparing your room. How is the air in the room? They say our temperature should be 65 to like 68 degrees, somewhere in that area for the best sleep. We either do it too cold or it's too hot, and then if you throw hormones into it, there's some sheets on, sheets off things going on that we have to be cautious of as well. So sometimes a little cooler is probably going to give you a much more restful sleep. I'm also a fan person. I have a ceiling fan and a fan next to my bed, and that's year round. I need the motion, I need the sound, and I also like the movement of the air. It makes a difference. It's so bad with the sound and the noise. I laugh because when I travel, I'm in all these different hotels all over the country. Some of them are older, and you turn on the air and you hear the rattling. To me, that's like a sedative. It helps me relax. But now these newer hotels, they have these new air systems, and they're on because you can feel them, but you can't hear anything. I actually had to download an app on my phone for fan sounds. I know, this sounds ridiculous, but the sound of the fan really does help me to sleep. So I plug my phone in and I hear fan sounds coming out of my iPhone. So it is what it is. We do what we have to do, because I didn't want to end up on a medication. I also put blackout shades on my windows to make sure that there's no light coming in. Out here in Las Vegas, we have shift workers where people work days, or they may work a graveyard, or they may work a swing shift. So many people out here are awake when they should be sleeping, and sleeping when they should be awake. And if you're a sleeper that has those crazy shifts, you need that room to be as dark as possible, and blackout shades may be the answer. Otherwise, it's just going to feel like daytime, and you may not be able to sleep in the daytime. So you have to make those adjustments. And the other thing is, you may need to relax the body before bed. And that could be a hot bath, it could be a shower, it could be a cup of herbal tea. All these things do make a difference. And make sure that if you have any blinking lights in your room, like a LED alarm clock or an old VCR that's blinking across the room, it's going to disrupt your sleep because you're going to end up focusing on it. And it's puts tape over it, or just get rid of it. Get something that doesn't have that LED on it, because it just adds infuriating, irritating lights to the room. So you want to make sure that you're having a nice dark room with a nice climate, on a good mattress with clean sheets, and that you're prepared. One of my biggest problems is I'll be in my studio, or I'll be traveling and I'll be working, and I work and work and work, and then I finally start getting tired. So I'll put everything away, I'll power everything down, and then I'll go to bed, and then I'll take my phone and my iPad out and start all over again. And even if I'm just doing it for pleasure and watching crazy stuff on social media or whatever, that tired feeling goes away very quickly with the blue light. Your body's like, oh, maybe it isn't bedtime. Melatonin recedes and you're wide awake. So I've gotten better with that. I try not to do that as much. I'm working on it. I am a work in progress, but I admit that it does make a difference if I heed that rule and keep those devices away from bedtime. I mean, it's really important. The other thing is, a lot of people feel that you can only have one choice when you need to sleep. And if you're going to take something, that it needs to be a pharmaceutical drug. Well, it doesn't. I have friends that I've done and made many suggestions with for things for sleep. And we've talked about these things, and we've tried a lot of things, and many of them do very well with some of the natural blends and combinations that are out there. Or maybe they found some singular things that they wanted to use, maybe like just a tryptophan, or a melatonin, or a chamomile tea, or a 5-HTP, or something along those lines that's more natural. But they may also think to themselves, it's really not doing it, Jeff. I've been trying it for a couple months. I've tried 3-4 formulas. They may be someone that has to give in to using a pharmaceutical drug. But you know what? Sleep is that important. So I don't have a problem with it. I think it's important. I don't think we should all start there. But like I said, there is a way to get a good night's sleep with a pharmaceutical if necessary, and if you've exhausted other things that may do as well or better. So when I was coming up the ranks, we didn't have blends. We didn't have combinations. We really didn't have any of that kind of stuff, because of the fact that we didn't really have the availability of being able to have blends and combinations. Nobody was making them. We didn't even know or think about them at that time. So we take things individually. If you wanted to create a formula, you had to purchase everything separately, and then hopefully figure out how to combine them and what dosage to use. So there was a lot of work involved. Today, if you're walking into a wonderful health food store today, you have the choice of picking up a formula made for sleep, or for relaxation, or for decompressing, or for helping with anxiousness, and these things that all lead us up to having a terrible night's rest. They're addressing it, and they're blending things together to give you these wonderful, powerful combinations that give you a much better success at being able to get a good night's rest. Because, synergism, taking things together that work better together and enhance each other, can give you a better night's rest. I know that when I use a blended combination, I'm not relying solely on tryptophan or melatonin or chamomile or 5-HTP or any of those. I may be getting a little bit of all of them together, and together they work in this beautifully powerful, successful, combination blend formula that gives me a much better chance of getting sleep. And everybody's different. Someone will say, well, melatonin works for me. Someone else will say, well, I don't like melatonin. I like using tryptophan. That's fine. We're not a one size fits all. We don't all fit in the same box. We need to sometimes do a little bit of experimentation. And you know what? You're worth it. You're worth it to try that experimentation. Because I'll tell you right now, everything you do every single day relies on eating a good diet, drinking water, staying active, and learning how to decompress and charge your batteries. And that means getting a good night's rest. Have you ever had one of those days planned and you have all of these events going on, phone calls, Zoom meetings, all this stuff, and you forgot to plug in your phone and your computer, and all day long you're chasing the charge. You're trying to plug in here, you're trying to plug in your car, you're using backup devices, because having that charge, being ready for those important phone calls and meetings, there's nothing more important. And because you can't function without it, well, how do we get through the day now with no sleep? We decompress? No. We're flustered. We're running around. We're yawning. We're tired. We're not hearing things properly. We're not focusing. We can't think clearly. So what do? We caffeinate. We stimulate. We use sugar. We use carbohydrates, things that give us quick energy, all the time making promises. I'm not going to do this again. I'm not going to do this again. But we do it again. And to say to ourselves, well, I'm going to get caught up on my sleep this weekend. No, we don't get caught up. You either make a change and do it moving forward so you're better. Otherwise, you're in a deficit. And that's where you're going to stay. Sooner or later, you're going to crash and burn. Sooner or later, it's going to affect your relationship, your job, your health. Our blood pressure can be affected. Our immune system can be affected negatively. Our focus, our memory, our concentration, the way we think. And because the foods we're reaching toward, we can be gaining weight because we're not sleeping, because we're eating high calorie, carbohydrate, and sugar foods because we want things that give us energy quickly as we're making those promises to ourselves to be better to ourselves. But we're human. We don't take good care of ourselves. Many of us live on the back burner, promising ourselves that we'll pull ourselves up to the front burner and prioritize our health. Some of us do. Some of us have made dramatic changes. Some of us are definitely works in progress. And that's okay. As long as you're moving, it doesn't matter how fast you're moving. It just means that you're going to get there eventually. Some people get to their goals faster. Some of us make changes fast. Some of us make changes slowly. But, even making slow progress, it's hands down 100% better for somebody sitting on the couch that hasn't started doing anything. So be proud of yourself when you're making a change, because I guarantee you that your body, your well-being, your overall health, everything is going to be better if you take the time to really start looking at things completely differently. And I don't know if this is the time for you to make a change. Only you know that. But I will tell you that if you're going into a health food store today for the very first time, it's great, because you have now the availability of so many things to choose from that we didn't have. I mean, many of the things that are available today weren't even discovered, weren't even known about when I started over 40 years ago. We didn't have blends. We didn't have combinations. We didn't have super nutrients. We didn't have specialty things. We didn't have any of that stuff. I mean, we have really progressed to a place where we can 100% take control of our health and well-being. And we can do so many things to make our journeys healthier and better. We just have to get started. And I know one of the biggest problems is fear of failure, because we've all failed at things over the years. Not knowing what questions to ask, even though any question is good, it's going to open the door to a conversation. And if you're at a good health food store, when you're working with someone, they're going to have a conversation with you. That's the wonderful thing about going into a health food store. You get those one-on-one, wonderful conversations, and you get to learn a lot. You can ask questions, and it's so important to be able to do that. My radio shows for over 4 decades were a resource for information, for opening the doors for communication, for allowing people to learn about things they may not have known about. And I'm going to continue to do that on my podcast. And I've been blessed to work with many, if not most, if not all, of the great minds in our industry over the years. And I'm tapping those resources because they're all coming back. Whether it was guilt or whatever, I'm going to get them back again, because I want them here. I want you to hear what they have to say, their experience, what they've done, what they've learned, what's changed, what's new, what's available, what's different, because this is how we learn. We learn by having resources that are honest and to the point, that give us the tools that we can then take that information and make those decisions ourselves, but having good information to do it. Today, we have information all the way around us. When I was first starting out, I spent all my time in the library because there was only a few really good, reputable books way back then. And if it wasn't for the library and doing deep research, I wouldn't have been able to do my radio show. I had to get the information somewhere, and there wasn't a lot of resource. Today, you can get tons of information. But is it true? Is it honest? Is it something that really makes a difference, or is it just someone's opinion? I mean, opinions are going to be a big part of things today. but also we need to be able to find resources where we can get information, say, okay, I've learned about this. These are some things that are available. Now I just need to decide which of these things I want to use, but at least I know I'm heading down the right aisle at the health food store. Or I learned something today I didn't even know there was something that could make a difference for me like that. So that's the whole idea, is having good information. I want you to learn from these amazing people that I'm going to bring to you, because they have great stories and great information, and they're so knowledgeable. And the other guests that I'm going to have athletes on here. I'm going to have people in the know. I want to know what they do. What are they doing to get a good night's rest? How do they travel when they're on the road, on the journey, on tour? How are they handling all their stress, the paparazzi? How do they decompress? We want to know that. I want to know that. I want to know what they do that allows them to really recharge and be able to be on their journey, on point all the time. How do they do that? When, just us everyday folks, we're struggling. You guys are balancing concerts and traveling and going to countries and, and being on the field, on the slopes, on the field, all that stuff, doing all that stuff. How are you doing it and still managing your life and prioritizing yourself in the mix? It's got to be interesting. I want to know all that. And I think we all do. But we also want to learn what we can do to apply to our lives individually. And remember, I mentioned it earlier, we're all different. What works for someone may not work for you, and that's where those conversations at your health food stores make the difference, because you can specialize that conversation for you, how it relates to you and what you're doing, because it's that important. So kind of to recap, prepare your bedroom. Remember, bedrooms are for two things: intimacy and sleep. If you have work to do, go to another room. If you're not really tired, get up, do laundry, something, make yourself tired. Take a hot shower, take a hot bath with lavender oil. Prepare your room. Get a new mattress if it's too old. Clean sheets, change them frequently. Have some kind of air moving. Set the temperature so it's not too hot, not too cold, a Goldilocks thing, just kind of somewhere right in the middle of the sweet spot, just so your body's more comfortable. Fans, movement of air, really, really important to me. If you never slept with a fan moving, I got to tell you, it is relaxing. Habitual, actually, for me. It's been decades. I don't think I've gone without a fan, because if I did, then I wasn't sleeping. So definitely keep that in mind. Try to set a bedtime. I know it's hard. As a child, we were punished with our bedrooms. Remember, we were told to go to bed early. We had curfews, and we were getting older. We had to be in a bed at a certain time. When we were bad, we were sent to bed, maybe without our supper. The bedroom was kind of a penalty. And way back then, there was nothing in there to keep you busy. We didn't have TVs or music of any kind. We didn't have smartphones, iPads, computers, laptops, nothing. Today, you send a kid to the room, they're like, okay, it's just location, because they got all that stuff in their room. Not really a punishment. So today, if someone was to walk up to me and say, you know what? You're not getting things done. You need to go home and take a nap. I'd be like, okay, I'm going. We look at sleep differently now. Rest is important, even though we know we need it, but we may not realize or have learned somewhere along the way how to get there. Ask questions. Everybody's different. And because of the amazing progress and technology of formulations that have happened in this industry, there's so many things you can try. There are capsules and tablets and soft gels and gummies and powders and teas and tinctures. There's so many things you can use to help you get a good night's rest. And don't be embarrassed to try more than one. You may try one and then try another one, and something's going to fit. That glove can always fit, but there's going to be one that's that perfect fit. And you put it on, you're going to be like, wow, that is the best fitting glove I've ever had on. That's the one for you. But you need to try. You need to do a little experimenting, a little personal experiment with yourself to see what you react to, because what your friend, your spouse, your kids, your neighbors, your grandparents, whatever, your work partners, coworkers, what works for them may not work for you. And that's okay, because there's plenty of things out there that are going to make a difference in your health and well-being. So know to your heart the importance of getting a good night's rest. Everything in your life depends on it. The quality of your life depends on it. How you move, how you act, how you repair your body at night, how you recharge your batteries, all this is so important for getting a good night's rest. And if you're not getting it, you're going to crash and burn eventually. I guarantee you. So do me a favor, tell your friends to come by. Go to my webpage, drjeffreyburke.com. Click on the icon for the platform you want to use to listen to the podcast. You can also watch the interviews on my YouTube channel. Make sure to like it, follow me, subscribe, all that stuff. I'm not sure. I'm still learning all that stuff. But stay in touch. You're going to have some great things to watch here. And I know that every single show, you'll take something away from it, and you might have that aha moment. And that's what it's all about. So have a great day. Thank you for tuning in to Honest Health with Jeffrey Burke. I'm Jeffrey Burke, your host. So glad you're here. Have a great day. God bless.
Stay tuned for more information from the Honest Health Podcast with Jeffrey Burke. And make sure to check back often for interviews and conversations from the guests we all want to hear from. I'm John the Announcer. Thanks for listening.